Ever wondered what it was really like for the soldiers in World War I? Not the glorious heroes we see in propaganda posters, but the ordinary young men caught in the gears of a massive, brutal machine. Today, we read diving deep into a film that paints one of the most honest and heart-wrenching pictures of that conflict. The 1979 television movie, All Quiet on the Western Front. This isn't just a war story. It's a powerful anti-war statement that's as relevant today as it was decades ago. Based on Erich Maria Remarque's groundbreaking 1929 novel, this adaptation tells the story of Paul Baumer, a bright-eyed German student, and his classmates. We first meet them in a stuffy classroom, swept up in a wave of patriotic fever. Their teacher, Kamturek, fills their heads with rousing speeches about glory, honor, and the fatherland. To them, war is a grand adventure, a chance to become heroes. Eager and idealistic, they enthusiastically enlist in the Imperial German Army, marching off to the cheers of the townspeople, completely unaware of the horrors that await them. The boys' romantic notions are shattered almost immediately upon arriving at basic training. Their drill instructor is Corporal Himmelsstoss, a former postman who now wields his petty authority with sadistic glee. He subjects them to endless, humiliating drills, forcing them to crawl through mud and endure pointless punishments. This is their first bitter taste of the military reality. Individuality is crushed, and blind obedience is all that matters. Himmelsstoss becomes a symbol of the senseless cruelty that defines their new existence, a far cry from the noble because they were promised. When Paul and his friends finally reach the Western Front, the true nightmare begins. The vibrant, colorful world of their hometown is replaced by a monochrome landscape of mud, trenches, and barbed wire. The constant, deafening roar of artillery fire becomes the soundtrack to their lives. Their first combat experience is a chaotic, terrifying blur of explosions, machine gun fire, and the screams of the wounded. The adventure they dreamed of is a brutal, indiscriminate slaughterhouse. The enemy is in the face. It's an unseen force raining death from the sky. At the front, the boys are taken under the wing of Stanislaus Kaczynski, or Kat, a seasoned veteran who becomes their mentor and father figure. Kat is a resourceful, cynical, and deeply compassionate man. He understands the mechanics of survival in the trenches. He teaches them the essential unwritten rules of war, how to find food, how to distinguish different types of shells by their sound, and most importantly, how to stay alive, both physically and mentally. Through his worldly wisdom, Kat shows them that the real enemy isn't the French or British soldier in the opposing trench, but the war itself. His friendship provides a small pocket of humanity in an utterly dehumanized world. The film masterfully portrays the grim routine of trench life. Days are spent in a state of constant tension, waiting for the next attack or bombardment. The conditions are appalling. Rats, lice, and disease are rampant. Food is scarce and often spoiled. The soldiers are perpetually cold, wet, and exhausted. Moments of quiet are rare and precious, often spent reflecting on the lives they left behind. Paul and his friends look at photos from home, read letters, and talk about a future that seems increasingly distant and unreal. The film shows how the war strips them of their youth, replacing it with a hardened, weary cynicism. They are forced to mature at an impossible rate, becoming old men in teenage bodies. One of the most powerful sequences in the film occurs when Paul's company is sent to guard a supply dump in a shelled-out schoolhouse. For a brief period, they experience a semblance of peace. They cook a proper meal, smoke, and even share a moment of connection with a group of local French women. This fleeting taste of normalcy only highlights the absurdity and tragedy of their situation. It's a reminder of the simple human pleasures that the war has stolen from them. A life of peace and love that exists just beyond the battlefield, but is completely out of reach. The film doesn't shy away from the graphic reality of combat. The battle scenes are visceral and chaotic, emphasizing the sheer randomness of death. We see soldiers cut down by machine guns, blown apart by shells, and locked in brutal hand-to-hand combat. There's no glory here, only fear and desperation. One of the most haunting scenes is when Paul is trapped in a shell crater with a French soldier he has just stabbed. As the man slowly dies, Paul is overcome with remorse. He sees not an enemy, but a fellow human being, a printer, with a wife and child. He tries to comfort him, to give him water, promising to write to his family. This intimate encounter crystallizes the film's central theme: the shared humanity of soldiers on opposite sides, forced into a conflict they did not create. After this traumatic experience, Paul is granted leave and returns home. But the home he longed for no longer feels like his own. He is a stranger in his own town, alienated from his family and former friends who cannot possibly understand what he has endured. He visits his old classroom, where his teacher Kantarek is still delivering the same patriotic speeches to a new generation of eager young boys. Disgusted by the ignorance and jingoism, Paul tries to tell them the truth about the war, the filth, the fear, the senseless death. But they don't want to hear it. They call him a coward. Paul realizes he no longer belongs to the civilian world. His only true home is now with his comrades in the trenches. Returning to the front, Paul finds that things have gotten even worse. The war is dragging on and his friends are disappearing one by one. The experienced veterans are replaced by fresh-faced, terrified recruits who die almost as soon as they arrive. The German army is crumbling. We witness the heartbreaking deaths of his comrades. His wise mentor, Kat, survives countless battles only to be killed by a stray splinter from a random shell while being carried to safety. This final, senseless loss pushes Paul to the edge of despair. Kat's death signifies the end of any hope or meaning. The film's title, All Quiet on the Western Front, comes from the final devastating scene. It's October 1918, just weeks before the armistice. The fighting has largely died down. On a day so peaceful that the official army report reads, All quiet on the Western Front, Paul, the last of his original group of friends, is in his trench. He sees a single butterfly that has landed just beyond the sandbags. Reaching for it, a simple, almost childlike gesture, he exposes himself for a brief moment. A single shot rings out from a French sniper. Paul slumps over, his face frozen in a calm, almost peaceful expression. The war is over for him. The army report claims nothing of note happened that day, erasing his existence in a single callous sentence. His individual life, his suffering, his friendships, his death, they mean nothing to the vast, impersonal war machine. It's a profoundly tragic and ironic ending that underscores the ultimate futility of the conflict. Millions of young men like Paul were sacrificed, their lives summarized and dismissed by a single misleading line in an official report. The 1979 version of All Quiet on the Western Front is a masterful and faithful adaptation of Remarque Us novel. It serves as a timeless and necessary reminder of the true cost of war. It strips away the flags and the anthems to reveal the human tragedy at its core. It's a story about a lost generation, boys who went to war to fight for their country and ended up fighting simply to survive another day. It challenges us to remember that behind every statistic and every headline, there are individual lives, hopes, and dreams, all of which are extinguished by the senselessness of conflict. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this summary moving, I highly recommend you watch the film for yourself. It's a piece of cinema that stays with you long after the credits roll. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into classic films. See you in the next one.